Last year, I started a sort of illogical obsession with these lesser known older Olympus DSLRs. And it started off with the Olympus E300, a truly tiny DSLR, and now has moved on to this much larger pro body Olympus E1. But it wasn't just the cool cameras in the system that really drew me in, but it was their excellent and special lens system that kept me coming back again and again until we are where we are today. I'm talking about the 4/3 system, and it's been dead for years now. 2010 was the last time Olympus made a camera for the system before they went all in on mirrorless. And Panasonic and Leica were part of the system, but only made 2 and 1 cameras respectively. The sensor size of these older 4/3 DSLRs are the same size as the modern micro 4/3 system we know and love today. And while these DSLRs aren't nearly as compact as the modern mirrorless counterparts, they're still pretty small for DSLRs. This Olympus E1 was actually the very first camera ever released in the 4/3 system, all the way back in 2003. And it's awesome. It has a 5 megapixel CCD Kodak made sensor inside of it, packed inside this flagship body with all the bells and whistles you could want. It also means it's not actually that tiny for this size sensor, especially with the optional battery grip attached. But it turns out that a beefy small camera is actually really comfortable, if that makes any sense. You get all these places to hold on to, access to all the controls you'd ever want, but it's actually not that large or heavy to hold. Now, the lenses for this system are legendary, and I mean that. If you dig through old reviews online from the system, you'll hear people arguing about the supposed benefits of this system over other systems, but no reviewers would deny that the lenses for this system were some of, if not the best lenses made at the time. Olympus cut no corners. And this is where my obsession has gotten a little bit out of hand. There are some cool lenses for this system. The widest lens I have for the system is this 7 to 14 millimeter f4 lens, which is huge, an absolutely heavy, huge piece of glass, especially for this supposed small system. But it's awesome. Awesome ultra wide field of view, super sharp. I got it from KH for a great deal because there's this itty bitty scratch on the front element. You can't even see it. It doesn't cause any problems. So that was a deal. And then I actually just picked up this lens. This is an 8mm fisheye lens that I only picked up because I got a super good deal on it, this time from Used Photo Pro. You can't see it very well, but there's fingerprints all over the front element. And that's because that ultra wide fisheye field of view, my baby was like smothering on top of it while I took pictures of her. So really just a fun lens, but they're cool to have in the system. Also, once again, optically superb and great build quality. And then kind of a harder to find lens, but that's half the fun of this system, is that you have to go digging to find these and find a good deal on them. This is by far the smallest lens I have for the system. I think the smallest lens ever made for the system is a 25mm f2.8 pancake lens. And it's awesome because it turns your camera into an actual compact system versus all of these other lenses. So it's a great walk around, everyday carry kind of lens. And it's a little expensive for what it is, what you're paying for if you think about how much nifty 50s cost in other systems. But it is a cool lens. Once again, got a great deal on it. And then Sigma actually made lenses for the 4/3 system. These were not specialty lenses. They were just remade, like remounted from other DSLRs systems. So some of these are made for full frame originally, some of them for APS-C. So none of them are originally designed for 4/3 as I know, but this is one of them. This is the Sigma 30mm f1.4 lens. This was recently gifted to me. Thank you very much, by the way. Fastest lens that I have for the 4/3 system because Olympus's own lenses didn't ever get this fast. But really nice compact setup for a nice fast lens. Not super sharp, wide open. It's very like dreamy wide open, but it gets sharper as you stop down. And then this next lens is anything but soft. This is the 50mm f2 macro lens, and this is a very special lens. It's macro, so it's the only native macro lens Olympus made for the system. Sigma had some other macro lenses, but then also just makes an excellent portrait lens. It's extremely sharp, wide open. Then something else you might notice, it looks really big right now. That's just because the last time I used it, I was focused closely. All of these Olympus lenses have focus by wire control. It's not like true manual focus where I can physically control the lens with that focusing ring, only electronically, which is a big downside. The other thing is they don't have manual apertures on them. So not a fan of either of those, but the glass is excellent. Also, good luck finding a deal on one of these. It's probably the most overpriced 50mm macro you'll find. But, well, maybe not Leica, but other systems it would be. But once again, found a good deal on this, so I snagged it up. Next up, we have this huge lens. Amazingly enough, not the largest lens I have for the system. I'll show you that one in a minute. This is the 35 to 100 millimeter f2 lens. So essentially a 70 to 200, but with the f2, which was not replicated in the Micro Four Thirds, the modern system today, which is interesting. That f2 is important because these, especially these older cameras, are not very good at their high ISO performance. So this helps me a lot when I'm out and I can keep the ISO down a little bit. And then I don't know how well this comes across on the camera, but this lens is absolutely massive, even if I take that lens hood off, and it's heavy. This is probably as big as a 70 to 200 full frame lens would be, especially the modern ones for mirrorless systems, but maybe even the ones for DSLRs. It is internally zoomed, so as I zoom, it's internal zoom, which is pretty cool. And there's some other nifty features on it. And then optically, this lens, once again, is fantastic. Wide open at f2, it is super duper sharp. It's just great fun to use, great results. Illogical, we'll talk about that in a minute. We'll talk about all the reasons why this is probably a big mistake. And then I do have a couple of just normal zooms for this system. So this is the 14 to 54 millimeter f2.8 to 3.5. And this one was also donated to me, so thank you for that. I have not had a chance to really play with it very much yet, so I look forward to that. But this would just be a great, like, just slap it on the camera, don't change lenses kind of lenses. And I am sure that the optical performance is great, as it has been with all these other lenses I've tried. But now it is time for Big Bertha. This is by far the largest lens I have for the system or I've ever had for any system. This is the Olympus 300 millimeter f2.8 lens, and it's something like 8 pounds or 3.6 kilograms for people that that's more helpful with. So it's hefty. I have done some walking around sessions with this lens. Big mistake, it's really not designed for that. And so it's just too cumbersome. I'm not really a tripod person. So I will be selling this eventually. I do want to play more with it. But right now it is listed on eBay. We'll see if anyone picks it up. Maybe I'll drop the price. The reason I picked this up is because I got an insane deal on Bayou for this, which makes it totally worth it. I'll probably make a little bit of cash when I sell it even. So it's kind of free for me to try, which just to me sounded like a no-brainer. I've got to put this down. This is very heavy. Oh yeah, and then again, optically superb. This lens was actually released in 2003 when the Olympus E1 was released. It's one of the OG lenses for the system. And yeah, super professional lens. Olympus cut no corners making this, which is awesome. And now it may seem ridiculous to spend this much money on a dead system. That's probably true. Okay, I've never been known to be that sensible. But actually, I think there's some reasons why this isn't a half bad idea. For one, all of these lenses, with the exception of this one, which was just like maybe 20% under the going rate, all of these other lenses I got at like half or less than half the going rate. So way under what you're seeing online if you just search these lenses. And that's part of the problem, is these lenses have really retained a ton of value. They don't really make a lot of sense to use even on 4/3 if you're looking at going into an older DSLR mount. You're kind of way better off financially going with something like Nikon, Pentax, Canon, something like that, and then just diving into their very cheap and very good lens systems. These ones have jumped up in value a lot. And part of the reason is maybe because you can use them on Micro Four Thirds. So this is a little adapter. Olympus and Panasonic made their own adapters that are probably way better. This is just a cheap knockoff adapter. And you can throw these on any Micro Four Thirds camera and they will autofocus. There's some big caveats with that. So different types of Micro Four Thirds systems, and if they do contracts, detect autofocus or whatever, I don't really know a lot about autofocus, but basically the different versions of autofocus are going to perform differently, and some are going to perform really poorly. So keep that in mind. Some are going to perform better though. So as much as I absolutely love the 4/3 system, and you're going to see a lot more about it on this channel as I explore it, talk about it, because I think they're beautiful cameras and beautiful lenses. I don't necessarily recommend them to everybody, especially if you're just looking to get into the best value system. I think that still goes to something like Nikon, Canon, or Pentax, those early like 10 megapixel bodies, because then you can get into those systems. Their lenses are so much cheaper. These have held up their value really well. And I'm buried in them right now. I don't know how long this obsession is gonna last, how long I'll dig into this before I just sell all this off, or if I'll keep using it forever and just mount it to Micro Four Thirds. I don't know. But anyway, that's where I'm at with this right now. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed me sharing it with you. And until next time, as always, happy snapping.